it's very, very off the radar, very, very technical. I know, you just don't understand what this does. And as soon as you do, you'll switch everything.
Okay, and welcome. So loads to talk about today. We've had quite an exciting month in the Decred world. But before I get started, my Decred t-shirts did turn up. So I'm wearing one today, which is really, really cool. I like this one a lot. If you guys end up seeing me out and about wearing this t-shirt, obviously give me a wave. But they are really nice. I also got another one here, which is one of my favourite ones, which is the Decred ball. This is from a guy called Official Cryptos, who is absolutely brilliant, a massive Decred advocate. And in a moment, I'll show you where I got it from if you're interested. So one of the big things this week or this month that keeps coming up is people are asking, where do I find out about the proposal system? Where do I find out about all the great use cases for Decred? So one of the first things I wanted to do is just go through where a new person should look. So where should you go to actually find Decred stuff and actually start investigating? So let's just go over and have a little look. Unlike most other projects, there's just one main hub for pretty much everything that you're ever going to need, and that's decred.org. Now, once you're on decred.org, it can be a bit finicky to find everything that you need. So let's just have a little look at this. The first thing is the wallet. So pretty much, if you downloaded the Decrediton wallet, it has everything built into it where you can actually just kind of go through, and you've got the proposal system built in, you've got the staking built in. You can actually access all the current proposals, you can vote, you can stake. Pretty much everything that you can do in Decred can be done in the Decrediton wallet, and it's absolutely brilliant. So that's one of the first places I would go. There's also a mobile wallet, which is really, really good. Now, the one thing I would say to you guys, if you are just getting started in crypto, don't forget to back up your seed. So once you've downloaded your wallet and you've created your wallet, you'll get this phrase of 32 words. Make sure that you write them down. Now, a few months ago, the Decred mobile wallet updated. Now I've got like an old phone, an old iPhone, and it stopped me accessing the information. And then they did an update and it said, okay, you now need to restore the app. Now, if I hadn't have backed up my words, my keywords, my seed, I would have lost all of my funds. There would have been absolutely no way. Once I pressed that update button on that app, and if that was the only app that I was accessed to get into, there'd be absolutely no way that I would have got my funds back. I wouldn't have been able to do it or anything. And I see this time and time again. People think that it's just like my back, someone will help me recover this, and no one's going to help you recover this stuff. Okay, if you don't back up your seed, your 32 words, and write it down somewhere, there's no way of you accessing your money. And I can't emphasize this enough. If your hardware breaks, or if the software that you're using breaks, where you have to kind of reinstall it, it's gone. There's no way of getting that stuff back. It won't instantly say, hey, configure to the last version. It won't do that. It will just be like, okay, you've just downloaded it, so would you like to reinstall your wallet, enter your 32 words. So without those 32 words, you are absolutely done over. And I was thinking to myself when this happened, I thought, oh my God, that's not good. I'm going to lose. Had I have not written down my 32 words, I would have lost everything. So I can't emphasize that enough. And make sure you have a good place to put them. Maybe even write them down twice. Maybe even get a still backup. So there's my 2 pence worth. Definitely. I know it's a bit of a bugbear, and it takes all of 10 minutes to kind of write them down and make sure you've got them written down properly. But it is really, really worth doing. I would also recommend, if you are going to go write down the words, is actually, before you put any money on a wallet, just try accessing your wallet from the words that you've written down, just to make sure it works. Anyway, that's the wallet. And Decrediton is absolutely brilliant. It works with Windows, it works with Mac, and it works with Linux as well. But if you want to look at what's going on in the Decred world and you want to keep up to date on everything that's happening, it's in this menu that you'll find everything. And the place I go to is this Getting Started. And this is where you'll find everything. The two things I access here pretty much on a daily basis is the Block Explorer and the Proposal System. Now, if you want to get involved in the proposal system, and you want to sign up and you want to have your say and you want to comment and things like that, it does cost 0.1 DCR. Now that's about a tenner at the moment. Now with that done, that will allow you to put up a proposal, and it will also allow you to comment on pretty much every single proposal that gets submitted. So let's go over and have a little look at the Block Explorer first. Now, like I said before, I've pretty much come here daily, and it's pretty much got everything on here. Now, this is what's called DCR data, and it's the main Block Explorer for Decred, and it's so user friendly, and I've never seen a better Block Explorer. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that it says disconnected. Now, if you want to make sure that the blocks are being produced at a reasonable time, which is 5 minutes, you obviously need to reconnect it. So all I do is come up to the refresh button, and it will reconnect it to the network. Takes a couple of seconds. There we go. And now you can see the last block was mined about 1 minute ago or 2 minutes ago, which is absolutely fine. And you can also see all of the last blocks that were mined, just to make sure that they are being produced in a good time. Now, they won't always get mined at 5 minutes. Some can take longer, some can be a bit shorter, but ultimately that's what you're looking for, consistency around that kind of 5 minute time. Another thing that I look at is how many transactions are being done online. Now, a couple of years ago when I did this last time for one of my videos, it was averaging about 12 transactions, including purchasing of tickets. Now, one thing I've noticed is this has been going up quite steadily. We are getting more transactions, just normal transactions, but we're also getting more and more tickets, and the ticket purchasing has been going really, really well of late, and the participation has been fantastic. Now, if you've ever been involved in things like Tezos or any of these other proof of stake governance systems, what I tend to find is people buy the coins and they instantly stake. Same with Waves. They instantly stake, and that's all they do. They just literally let it ride. Now, the one thing I noticed with Decred, and I'll show you this on the proposal system in a second, is that the participation in voting and getting involved in the system is actually really, really high. At any particular time, you're looking at about 41,000 tickets in the pool that can vote on proposals and things like that. Now, the last few proposals that have gone through over the last 6 months have had between 20,000 and 30,000 votes on them, which is a huge participation. And you won't really find that in any of these other systems, but in Decred is absolutely really, really active, and I'll show you that in a minute so you can check that for yourself. Now, once you're happy that the Block Explorer is working fine, the main panel that I check every day is this one here on the right hand side. And this just kind of tells me what's happening. So it tells me the first thing, what the current ticket price is. Now, the ticket price of lately has been going a bit mental. At one point, one of the stake providers must have gone offline for a long period of time, because a whole bunch of tickets got obviously sold off or whatever. And the actual ticket price went down to 120 DCR, which was crazy low. And when the community saw this, they absolutely went nuts and started buying these really cheap tickets. And took it to the point where it went over 300 DCR per ticket. And it was really interesting to see kind of how this leveled it out. And for the first time in years, we actually got to see how well the algorithm works. And it really coped with it quite well. Within a week, it had kind of stabilized itself out. And you can see now we're about 2% under the target. But only 2 days ago, we were about 2% over the target. So it's gradually finding the correct price now that all of these tickets have come back online and more people have started buying. And it was really interesting to see how well it corrected itself and got itself back on track. Now, with the ticket buying system, you really don't want it to be over or under target for very long periods of time. Probably a week or 2 weeks is acceptable, just about. But if it stays over target for longer than that, what you're going to start finding is that some tickets won't vote, which means those ticket holders won't actually get their reward, because the ticket pool size has to be roughly 41,000. Otherwise, there's too many tickets in the system to actually vote, because what it's deterministic on is each block. and what they've worked out that is over 142 days at five votes per block, that it works out at this kind of it's slightly under 41,000 actually. I forget what the actual number was, but it is slightly under that. But that's the reason, because of only a certain amount of tickets can vote. And that's why it's so important to keep it around this size, so all the tickets get to vote, so none of them kind of get dismissed or whatever. So that's the first thing I look at. And when you see these kind of prices, the average price tends to be, before this massive hike up, it tended to be about 150, 160 DCR. And at one point this week, we actually went up to 61% of the complete supply of Decred being staked, which was over 8 million coins, 8,100,000 coins, which were being staked, which really demonstrates, and when you see how many people are voting on proposals, really demonstrates the strength of this particular use case. So another thing that you need to be aware of is if 800,000 is staked, and almost 800,000 or 700, just over 700,000 is in the treasury, there's only just over 4 million coins in circulation. Now, to my knowledge, there's not many of these projects that the buying potential is actually that low. So it also wouldn't surprise me to see once people realize that there's such a limited amount of coins in circulation. It won't actually surprise me to see the price of the DCR coin actually going up. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. So the next thing I look at then is this mining, and see how the mining is going. Excuse me. Now, we had the big China sell-off a couple of months back. And at one point we went as low as 70 petahashes. Now, for most systems, that would be really terrifying, and it wasn't a particularly pleasant experience. But even at that point, Decred was maintaining something like 800 million attack vector. So it would have cost $800 million to attack Decred, which is absolutely still really, really good at 70 petahashes. You wouldn't really want it to stay that low for long periods of time, based on the amount of hash that's in the world that could direct itself towards Decred at any one time. But because everyone was going through this, Bitcoin was going through this, all the major ones were going through this, and some of the side chains would have probably got really, really worried at that point, and it wouldn't have surprised me if some of them didn't get attacked. We heard about a few of them, but it wouldn't have surprised me if a few more weren't getting attacked at the time, because it would have been so cheap to attack a pure proof of work system. But obviously Decred isn't just pure proof of work, it has that proof of stake element as well, which makes it a lot harder to attack, and that's why even at 70 petahashes, it was still costing something like 800 million to attack the system. The highest this hash rate has been is something like 400 petahashes. So you can see that all of the Chinese miners have now been redistributed, and they've all started to come back online. It might go back up to 400 petahashes, but my thoughts are probably that some of those miners are kind of in a redundant state at the moment, and will probably get turned on when it becomes profitable, or as time goes on. We'll have to wait and see about that. And then you have the distribution to make sure the coin is on. So we're currently on target to reach its 21 million. So we're currently at 13,266,000. By 2026, we'll be at roughly 18.5, 19 million. So that's when you're going to really kind of see this inflation deflation thing starting to play out, which I'm quite excited about. We've never really had, apart from probably Bitcoin now, because they're at the 18.5 million in circulation. So they're kind of coming into this deflationary period, which you're starting to see the price kind of hike up, just purely because everyone's still holding their coins and not letting them go for cheap prices. And I suspect that'll be the same with Decred. It wouldn't surprise me if the price went up when this deflationary period, this massive deflationary period started happening, knowing that only another 2 million coins will ever be mined. And as you can see, currently the exchange for Decred is really cheap. It's 167 DCR. Which is about £120. So let's have a look at the Decred proposal system. Now, if I come out of this one, I was looking at the Mond PR Phase 3 proposal just a minute ago before I started the video. And one thing I was noticing is I really like what they've done here. This is new. These 4 elements here are new. And I was only thinking this the other day, is when a proposal is suggested, it'd be really nice to see exactly what the proposal is for. So in this case, it's marketing, and how much they're asking for. And a lot of people in the staking world will dismiss a proposal if they feel it's overpriced. So to see exactly how much they're asking for, there's no hidden kind of wording, and a lot of the proposals I've seen before, the wording was obscuring the overall amount they were asking for. Now I think this is linked to the amount that they can actually get now. So it's nice to see that, right, this is the maximum amount that this particular proposal can get. So you're saying, right, okay, now I can move forward and I can read the proposal and see if what they're asking for fits with the work that they're going to do. Now, Mon PR have been fairly decent actually, and this is for a whole year. So for a PR company for a whole year, it doesn't seem too bad to me really, but we'll have to wait and see what the stakeholders vote. One of the proposals that I was dead keen on, which got rejected in the end, which is a bit unfortunate, but it does show the true power of what's happening in the Decred world, where the stakeholders will really, really scrutinise, and which was this Dominic Frisby one, Daylight Robbery, which his book on Daylight Robbery is absolutely brilliant. But they were really scrutinising the amount that he was asking for. Originally, it was something like 400,000. I think he brought it down to 300,000 in the end. But I mean, clearly the stakeholders weren't happy about that. I heard some discussion online on Twitter that was basically saying what a new person to the Decred world should do. Although Dominic Frisby is fairly famous and fairly popular in the space, in the kind of financial space, what it would have been good for a new person, even as popular as they are, is to provide some value to the service of starting off small. So rather than going in and proposing a 400,000 bid, it could have been, right, I'm going to create 3 videos a month for $10,000 or whatever. And then you can build up to that particular end goal, showing, what you can actually do, and that trust can build up, and I think that's what tends to happen in staking world. People really want to see that you are Decred centric, and what a lot of people were saying also about this one is there wasn't enough Decred content. And although I feel that Decred fits into the narrative of tax and what's happening in the world around tax and how we might be able to kind of move in a better direction, it was a caveat. The Decred narrative was a caveat to the book, and I think that upset a lot of people, and that's probably why the vote went against him in the end. But to bring back to my earlier thing about the people in this space actually getting involved in the voting, look at how many people are voting at the moment. So look, you've got 25,000 votes on this one, and this one down here almost had 30,000 votes, which is absolutely amazing. You think the actual pool size is 41,000, and these are getting 30,000. Now, if you go to any other proof of stake where people have to manually vote and see if that's happening on their systems, other than I think the voting is kind of infinite, you don't have this fixed voting system, you still won't find that amount of participation. The participation system is absolutely brilliant. So the next thing then, let's have a look at the Twitter page. So I've been doing a few things. Now, one of the things that's been happening on Twitter of late is Jack, I always forget his surname, but the guy that owns Twitter has been talking about his Bitcoin decentralized exchange. And people have been discussing about whether this will put Decred on the back foot, whether this is going to mean that, all other projects are going to get squashed. And the one thing I would say to you guys is look at how these guys operate. Look, he obviously owns Square, and look at the fees that happen inside of Square. Now, all I see with a decentralized exchange for Square is that they're going to be able to use cryptocurrency in the same way that they currently use fiat currency. So there's going to be fees. At the moment with PayPal, my business runs on PayPal, where if I accept a payment, say for $200 or £200, I'm going to pay £10 of that, 5% in fees. Now for a small business, all of those fees have to be passed on. And you imagine paying another 5% because you have to pay the block fees, or you have to pay the decentralized exchange fees. All of a sudden you get into a world where fiat currency becomes a better exchange than crypto, and we don't really want to go down that. And the more we see people like PayPal and Square and Visa getting into the system and building up these popular systems where the users don't get charged but the merchants do, the user's going to flood to it, but the merchants are going to be like, oh, here we go again, we're getting done over again. And especially for small merchants, they can't compete with the big merchants. So in my tweet here, what I was basically trying to say is the company or project that puts the merchant first, and they build out a full suite of merchant tools, both online and for the real world, they are going to put themselves in a really, really good position in this next phase to actually improve the system for small merchants. And you think about it, if you can get small merchants online, it's more likely that they will run nodes, or they will run a mining rig, just so that they can be more secure when they're processing their transactions. So it really does pay to get the merchants on board, get them to run their node, whether that be a Lightning node. It all adds to the security of the system. So I went on to say, okay, so why would Decred fit into this merchant philosophy probably better than Square and PayPal and Visa? Well, the first thing, I don't know how long it would stay this way and whether it would stay this way forever, but at the moment, Decred, just a peer-to-peer transaction, costs less than a penny. Once we get full participation and those blocks start filling up, it is likely that price will go up. I don't think it will ever be massively high like what you see sometimes with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't think it's going to get to that, purely because Decred has quite an efficient system. But it will go up. So the other thing we have is Lightning, and that's still kind of untested at the moment, uncharted territories. But over time, if Lightning comes on board, you'll be able to do transactions on the Lightning network for small amounts for nothing. And if one of these merchants is running a Lightning network node, then they can pretty much put their own transactions through their own Lightning network for pretty much zero cost. So that's obviously a benefit. The other thing that Decred has is the DCR DEX, which is a feeless system. Now, when you think in terms of interoperability, the DCR DEX is perfect. It basically means Decred can have this foundation, but it can be interoperable with as many different currencies as it wants to, whoever has atomic swaps. So if the merchant wants to deal just in Bitcoin or just in Ethereum or just in Monero, they can, and they can swap that out to whatever currency they want, whether that be fiat or whether that be stable coins or whatever, with no fees. And they can actually transact between all those things using the DCR DEX. So straight away, that's where Decred and DCR DEX would play a really good part. Now, the next thing that could play a massive part is Decrediton. Because Decrediton, if they had the merchant tools built into Decrediton, say for instance, the best one I've seen so far is this BTC Pay server. If they were included on BTC Pay server and they included BTC Pay server or something similar into the Decrediton wallet, it could be such a seamless service, because you could have the DEX in the Decrediton wallet, you could have all the wallets set up for all the various coins that could switch the merchant's money between them, but they could also get paid in that, and all for pretty much no fees, especially if they are running the nodes necessary. So if they were running the BTC Pay server, if they were running the DCR DEX, and obviously the Decrediton, all within Decrediton, for a merchant, that would be absolutely amazing. So the next phase of cryptocurrency, and this is the way I currently see it, is these guys are heating up. PayPal, the Square, the Visas of this world, they're heating up. They want the next system to be like the current system because they literally take so many fees off of the merchants. But the merchant does have to pass those fees on. This is the perfect opportunity now, is to kind of think in terms of the merchant and kind of think, right, okay, if we are going to move this system forward, you have to put the merchant first. And the system that does that will win out ultimately in the end. Now, moving on to the next one, if I go back to the top, I started publishing all of the videos for my Decred Fundamentals and Decred Society on podcast. This was asked for during the proposal stage. So when we were going through the proposal for the phase 3 of the video Decred proposal, someone did ask, I prefer to listen to these things rather than look at them on video. So I have put together an Anchor channel. So if you click on the Anchor button, where you can actually get these now. We're still waiting for the Apple one, so that's not come online yet. I'll start chasing that, but it is on Google now. It's on a whole bunch of these other ones, including Spotify, where you can actually see the whole backlog of all of the videos that we've been working on. It's not quite up to date. It's getting there, and once the Apple stuff gets on, we should start getting into sync. But certainly the podcast situation is quite popular. So if you are interested in this channel and you want to listen to it rather than see my mug or my face, then you're going to be able to do that. Another thing that I'm experimenting with, which looks quite interesting, I've not had a massive amount of success with it yet, and it would be nice to get Decred on here properly, which is this cointr.e, so cointree.e. Which allows you to tip, and it allows you to do things like message people. So you tip in crypto and you send them a message. And unfortunately, it doesn't work for Decred at the moment. But you know, as a user, you would come in. Let me close this one. As a user, you would come in. You'd click on the cryptocurrency that you want to tip in, and you'd send a message. So if you wanted me to answer one of your messages, you would do it like this, and then it gets answered. It looks really interesting. I'm still trying to work out. I was watching. It was one of the Dash channels. I can't remember the guy's name. Joel. I can't remember his surname. But he did a similar thing. I just thought it seemed really, really interesting, where he put all of his channels up here as well. And obviously you could support the channel, but you could also propose videos you want to watch for a small tip. So I'm looking into that. We'll see. If we ever start a webinar or some kind of online discussion, live discussion, then we'll probably go down this route and see how it goes. And then just to finish off, the Decred Society channel, we are almost at 200 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to the Decred Society YouTube channel, please do so. We're still trying to get these view rates up. Now, one thing I was reading on one of these marketing mags is basically if you get videos past 1,000 views and a certain amount of likes and comments, it actually puts the videos in front of more eyes. And it's the same with the actual Decred channel. A lot of the channel videos don't get that many views, which means we're not doing our job to kind of promote it and get it in front of more people's eyes. And that's really a community thing. Just by going in, liking, commenting, we can actually start to increase the rankings of some of these videos. And if you like a specific video, obviously this is something that I would definitely recommend to you guys. Start getting these videos in front of the eyes of people that might be interested, by sharing it and all the rest of it. And if you have any thoughts on that, actually, if you feel like you might be the person to do that, it might be worth getting in touch. Actually, I'll be really, really interested in somebody to kind of behind the scenes to actually get this pointed in the right direction so we can get more eyes onto this. I want to maybe take charge of that, because that in itself is actually quite a big job. Creating the content's a big job, but actually getting in front of the eyes that it needs to. So if you have any thoughts on that, if you want to work with us on that, that'd be great to hear from you, actually. And then finally, let's just finish off with my good friend, Official Cryptos, who obviously did these t-shirts. I think I showed them at the beginning, but it's been a long video, so let's show them again. Where are we? There we go. So they're absolutely great ones. And if you just search Decred t-shirts, he comes up. He's one of the first ones, actually. and he's got absolutely loads of designs on here. My next one is going to be the privacy one. Where is it? It's here somewhere. There it is, the privacy one, which looks absolutely amazing. I love it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me. I know that was a bit long-winded. Hopefully that's useful. If you do have any ideas for videos, if you want me to talk about something or air my opinions on this stuff, it would be great to hear from you guys. Obviously, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and all the rest of it. If there's anything that you felt that wasn't quite on par, and you want to add your 2 cents, please do. I always like the contrary, as long as they're respectful, of course. I always like the contrary opinions. I'm learning just as much as you guys are. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.
It's very, very off the radar, very, very technical. I know, you just don't understand what this does. And as soon as you do, you'll switch everything.